transcendental meditation. Transcendence is an area of human experience. It's an area of life which is just saturated happiness. It's the kind of happiness that doesn't fade or go away or diminish. And it's inside every human being. Every culture in the world recognizes its existence. I've chosen the word transcendence, but we could choose the word being or Atma or self or divine or infinite or consciousness. So many different words are used in all the different cultures to refer to this inner area that every human being has, which is really the source of our happiness. And so my professional life has been spent in this world of meditation. Meditation is a tool that has existed everywhere, that its purpose is to enable the human being to experience this inner reservoir of infinite happiness and freedom. And when meditation is properly practiced, then it gives that experience. And so I've had a wonderful professional life of being able to teach people a very simple practice that they can do. It's called transcendental meditation. And it allows the busy mind, the active mind, to withdraw from being busy and to experience more and more inner quietness, closer and closer to transcendence. The word transcend means beyond, to go beyond. And what we go beyond in this practice is that constant activity of looking for things that will feed us with happiness. And the reason we want to go beyond that is that the happiness we get when we get those different things doesn't last very long. It goes away, and then we have to go to work again to find something that will feed us with some happiness. So when the mind learns how to transcend, then it becomes, with practice, more and more familiar with that inner quietness, that inner field. But the mind is not the only part of this equation. The mind is sitting on one part of the equation, and then there's an equal sign, those two little parallel lines, and on the other side is the body. And the great thing that happens when a person learns to transcend is that the body gets an extraordinarily deep state of rest, which it's never had before, unless it's had that experience of transcending somehow through some practice, or more likely even just through chance, just sitting quietly. You may remember some time in your life where your mind drifted into a few moments of feeling awake inside and at peace. And that's that experience of transcending. And when the mind does that, when the mind quiets down, then the body quiets down. And one of the things that my mentor did when he began teaching transcendental meditation in India, and then moved to teach it in Southeast Asia, and then eventually came to the United States, and then Europe, and then over the course of a number of years, traveled around the globe many times, introducing this little simple technique to people. He encouraged scientists to measure what's going on. And what they found was that the level of rest that the person experiences in just a few minutes, in 5 to 10 to 20 minutes we practice, 20 minutes is the practice. The level of rest is twice as deep as at any other time during the 24 hours. The deepest rest for the person is normally during sleep at night. And this experience of transcending delivers a level of rest that's twice as deep as sleep. And the first research was done at UCLA Medical School. It was published in Science magazine, and then it was replicated a couple years later at Harvard Medical School, and that study was published in Scientific American. And it found that the body in both studies was resting twice as deeply as at any point during a night's sleep. And at the same time, more of the brain was being activated than at any other time during the 24-hour cycle. And the different parts of the brain were beginning to communicate with one another. That phenomenon is called brainwave coherence. And maximum brainwave coherence is only found during this transcending experience. We may feel great when we jog and kind of feel, that increase of endorphins, or when we work out. We may feel also wonderful when we listen to some music, as we just did. We can feel that happiness coming into the system. As I said before, there's so many experiences that deliver some happiness. But this maximum happiness comes when the whole brain gets enlivened through the transcending experience. There is a book within the Vedic tradition, a collection of sutras. It's called the Yoga Sutras. I'm sure many of you have heard of the Yoga Sutras. And it's an unbelievable textbook on transcendence. The first opening sutra says, now we'll teach you about yoga. And the second sutra says, yoga means the settling down of the activity of the mind. So another word for transcendence is yoga. That's not how it has come to be understood in the world now, with the popularity of yoga asanas, or positions, these physical positions that are practiced now. But the real definition of yoga is what I've been discussing as transcendence, where the mind quiets down, and then what happens? The third sutra in the Yoga Sutras explains what happens. The third sutra says, then the seer is established in itself. Or in other words, then awareness is aware of itself. And when awareness becomes aware of itself, then the awareness is not busy looking for happiness. It's only aware of itself, and that's a state of bliss. That's a state of ananda. And that's why the experience of yoga, the experience of the transcendent, or again, whatever it's called in whatever culture we're familiar with it in, that's why it's known to be a state of just wonderful fulfillment, a state of bliss consciousness. But coming back then to the practical value of that, when the mind experiences that, when it quiets down, then the body quiets down and our breathing is very, very quiet. And in even beginning TM meditators, they find that the breathing gets so quiet that it can't even be detected by the researchers. The breathing is almost suspended for a few seconds at a number of times during the meditation. So that's again showing us how deep the rest is during this experience of yoga or transcendence. So what is the value of rest to the human being? Well, when we get sick, what does the doctor tell us to do? They may give us some medicines, but the universal prescription for whatever the problem is get rest. The reason the doctor says get rest is because rest is nature's antidote to imbalance. Imbalance means some physical problem, some ill health, some form of disease. Imbalance. And the body is designed to balance itself. The body is designed by the Creator to look for homeostasis. That's the medical word for balance. The body's always seeking balance. But to gain that balance, it needs to gain rest. And that's why every human being, whether they like it or not, goes to sleep every night. And that sleep provides the body with rest. And that rest enables the body to dissolve the fatigue of being active during the day, being busy during the day. It's like a magic. It's just like magic. We go to sleep at night, and when we go to sleep, our thinking wasn't so clear, our emotions were not so rich, our perception was not so sharp. We were a little bit kind of down and fatigued and tired and not functioning at our best. And then we go to sleep, and then we wake up 8 hours later. And if we had a good night's sleep, how do we feel in the morning? We're like a new person. It's like a revival took place at night. It's like we got healed. And we wake up in the morning, and again, we have clarity, we have energy, we have creativity. We're like a new person. And all that happened was we let the body rest. So imagine what happens in a person's life when twice a day, for 20 minutes, they enter effortlessly, easily into this state of transcending, this true state of yoga. What happens is that the body heals itself, begins to heal itself to a degree that it's never done before, because it's never had that experience in a regular, repeated way. That's why we do it twice a day. We do it in the morning, first thing, as a preparation for our day. And then we do it again sometime in the afternoon so that we recharge the batteries before the latter part of the afternoon and the evening. So that when we're with our family or we're finishing up at work, we've got energy and clarity and calmness again. So that's the routine. The routine, and it needs to be a routine because life just excels through routines. Nature is a series of routines. The routine of the heartbeat, the routine of breathing, the routine of eating properly at different periods during the day. And similarly, the routine of transcending needs to be added to the human being's regular routine in order to bring that experience of happiness, that experience of deep rest, which then translates into releasing all the stresses and strains which contribute to ill health, and then that produces health. So that gives you, I think, a good glimpse of what the purpose of meditation really is to experience this very specific state. It's not a question of focusing or concentrating. Entering into the state of transcendence, the state of yoga, should be as easy and natural as it is for us to wake up in the morning. To wake up, we don't have to do anything special. We don't have to focus or concentrate, or we don't have to imagine anything. We don't have to say any prayers. Nothing special. It's a very natural transition from being asleep to being awake. And then when evening comes again, all we have to do is lie down. And then if the body's not become too stressed, then we just naturally fall asleep. And then while we're asleep, the mind and body make another natural, effortless transition into dreaming. And then from dreaming, the mind body again transitions into deep sleep again. And so the experience of transcending should also be easy and effortless and natural.